to the heart of the matter, which is the PBID for the go-round shuttle. Is there a staff report?
Very short one. If you'll give me 1 second, I just need to now give this to the...
Get the vote in, then come back.
The attorney's going to do that. So I just have a very short presentation. It's about 4 or 5 slides. Just to give a little context of why we're here tonight and to spell out the steps that will be happening tonight. So as most of you know, and I think most of you are here for, the city is considering adoption of a citywide property-based business and citywide business and property improvement district to replace the current assessment district that funds the Emery Go-Round shuttle. First, no, I can't get this to work. Wait a sec. Yeah, I'm looking now. I'm looking for the down arrow. Right. That's not working either. Excuse me a second. It was working. Now it's working. So what is a citywide PBID? It is a special assessment district, and it's an assessment district that's determined by the special benefit received by the assessed property owners, which with this PBID, it varies according to land use or service accessibility. It is an annual assessment levy collected through the property tax rolls, and it requires a Proposition 218 ballot process, followed by, if the property owners upheld the district, city council action to adopt the PBID management plan and proposed assessment formula. It's a protest vote by mail-in ballot, and the ballots are weighed according to the proposed assessment levy. And the city council may consider adopting the PBID only after the Proposition 218 ballot process has been included and if there is no majority protest. A public hearing is required before council action, and the city council may approve or disapprove the proposed PBID if the property owners uphold it. If the property owners do not, then the city council cannot take any further action in support. So the enabling legislation is both the state of California and the Streets and Highways Code, as well as the city's own ordinance 15-003. And the basic guts of the management plan is that the assessment levy is based upon the trips generated according to parcel land use. And there's about 26 categories of land use with offices, retail, single-family homes, multifamily homes, and trip generated is based upon the IT manual that's widely used by planners to do everything from traffic impact fees for a lot of other planning purposes. So it is a nationally recognized manual for determining the trips generated by parcel land use and access to the Emery Go-Round shuttle, whether a parcel is within a quarter of a mile of a 7-day route, which is approximately 80% of the parcels in the city, or a 5-day route service. Annual assessments are calculated for changes in land use and or service access if warranted. The proposed PBID would include all parcels, including residential, both rental and homeowner, single and multifamily parcels. The TMA is the owner's representative, and the TMA board's composition and bylaws would be enshrined in the city TMA contract, which would be coming to council probably October, November, in the fall, if the PBID is the new PBID is adopted. Obviously, the current PBID lasts through this service year, so we have some time to get that in place. It is a 15-year PBID with the opportunity for the council to disband if necessary with a 4/5 vote if things change. And so this would run the PBID through 2029-30. And each annual assessment can be no more of a 5% increase than the previous year, and that includes any reassessment. So for example, if there was a decision to expand the 5-day route to the 7-day route, well, that would cause a reassessment because now those parcels are getting that same benefit. Well, if that reassessment in itself was 4 or 5%, then those parcels couldn't be assessed even more that year. So it's a hard cap of 5% at most. And I would say over the course of the current 2 PBIDs, it's been about 2.7%. So here's the adoption schedule. March 17th was the first reading of the local ordinance about the process to adopt a PBID. April 7th was the 7th reading of the ordinance. The ordinance took effect on May 7th. Then there was a study session on May 19th, which resulted in June 2nd with a final draft management plan and assessment engineer's report and a PBID, and the city council at that time directed staff to initiate the 218 ballot process. Bless you. And so ballots were mailed out to all parcel owners by June 19th. And so you can see that this is the process, and it's a 45-day window that ballots can be submitted. So today is the last day. So today, we'll get into that a little bit. This is what's going to happen. If the PBID is adopted, then the new assessments would be placed on the property rolls in time for the county to include them in the 15-16 property taxes. That would have to happen by August 10th. So actions today. One is the mayor is being requested to open the PBID public hearing after this brief presentation. Members of the public may submit ballots until the end of that hearing, sorry about that. During the public hearing, the City Council receives public testimony. When no one else wishes to speak at the public hearing, then the mayor would close the public hearing. After the public hearing is closed, no more ballots can be submitted. Once the public hearing is closed, the mayor may recess the city council meeting, but I noticed there is some business that you still need to discuss, so you could choose to do that first if you wanted to. But essentially, it's going to take a couple of hours to get through the ballots. The city clerk will oversee the ballot count. It's right next door. It's open to the public, and anyone is invited to come and watch while the ballots are being opened and pass through the scanner to be counted. After the ballot count is completed, the mayor would reconvene the city council meeting if the council does decide to take that recess. The city clerk, I will then report out the ballot results. If the PBID is upheld by the property owners, then the city council may consider whether or not to approve the PBID. If the PBID is not upheld by the property owners, or if the council, for whatever reason, decides not to approve the PBID even if it's upheld by the property owners, then staff has prepared a resolution under action items, which would be an action for the council to place the last assessment levy under the current PBID that was adopted in 2006 on the property rolls, and that would be the last. Fiscal year that the assessment district has funds to operate the Emery ground, and that would be through the end of December 2016. So that's it, unless you have any questions.
No, we've discussed this at length before. I'll open the public hearing for public testimony about the go-round and the PBID and whatever. So public hearing's opened. Come on up.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I am against the assessment to be added on to our already high property taxes because I feel that if you want to use the Emery go-round, you should pay for it. In other words, people should pay for it just like they pay for AC Transit and just like they pay for the F and the J bus to go to San Francisco. this is something that if you use it, you pay for it. That may be a novel idea to you, but it seems the most equitable and fairest way to have the Emery go-round continue. But if by chance enough people vote against it, which I hope they do, then you can disband it after 2016, and people can go back to doing what they did before the Emery go-round was in place, and that was they drove or they walked, which is very healthy for you. Thank you very much.
Any other public comment? Come on up. And if any of you want to cast ballots, it's still open until I close the public hearing. So
Okay.
if you haven't voted, go ahead and vote.
Okay.
And go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Najmuddin Ravan, and I own the Emeryville Chevron, 1400 Powell Street. Names goes all in it. Emeryville Chevron cannot exist, is no car in Emeryville. My business 100% related to the gas. And I have a 2 rental property beside me, the same things. Everybody come get gas, and they drop their clothes in the dry cleaner. When they come next week to get the gas, they pick it up. I never seen the 10 years this dry cleaner is there. I never seen the dry cleaner, somebody walk with the big garbage bag of the clothes and come back, take the 20 coat hanger clothes, go to Emery, go around, go home. So all of my business and my 2 retail place related with the 100% with driving the car, do the transaction. Emeryville, city of Emeryville, put my business as a shopping center. I'm not shopping center, rate of shopping center. I'm service center. We do the car comes, we service them. You drop your clothes or get the gas or go to over there looking for apartment, house, anything. All is a service. They are not buying anything. They getting service. And that's why my property tax increased 23%. And I want to see those high-rise buildings, based on me, all of them, they hire all the high-tech company working for them. They rented the property to this high-tech company, they collecting rent, and the employee is not the minimum wages, we support them. $80,000 to $200,000 get their salary. They can pay by themselves. Why I have to pick up the tab? He collect the rent. That's why I'm completely 100% against it. And I talked to him, I have a lawyer, and I'm not going to pay the dime of it. That's why it is.
Any other public comment? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Benta Brown, and I'm against it. It's one thing after the other. It started with business taxes and came parcel taxes for the schools. And I'm a retiree without a pension, and I spent all the money I had to buying a 1-bedroom in the high-rise. And it's getting very, very hard with all this extra taxes. When I moved in the late 90s, this whole city was very business-oriented. It has shifted so much. I thought I had a value here in what I bought. I don't see the value anymore with those property taxes rising, and I don't have a pension. I have to watch every dollar, and I think it's unfair that it's put on the property owners. I mean, the ones that really benefit for it are the big businesses, IKEA and all the other merchants. They're the ones that really benefit from it. But to take it out of the property owners, now that the renters don't have to pay anything, we are building rental properties all around us. It's everywhere right now because rental is in. How many property owners are there to have to pay the load? Let the businesses do it. I think it's too hard on the property owners, which is going to be in a minority anytime soon. So I hope it doesn't pass because it's put a burden on a lot of us. Thanks.
Is there any other public testimony?
Hi, Hi, good evening. I'm Deborah Body. I'm a neighbor in the Triangle neighborhood, and I really feel for the people who just spoke. But want to say that basically we favor the shuttle and the assessment painfully, but we do support it because we've all benefited from it. Our equation now is that we do have a multifamily home, so we do have the higher assessment, and we do get some rental income. But primarily, we're a family compound, and our vision for our home is that family members always have a place to live. So, you know, it is going to be hard for us with this assessment. If it increases at 5% per year, I mean, that's a hardship. That means it might double within the lifespan of the PBID, and then we will have more of us being limited income, and we're from the generation that doesn't have the kinds of jobs that had pensions or any kind of support. So today we're, you know, half and half working, and then other students we're supporting family members, but in 10 years from now, we'll have many more of us, you know, and most of us living in the home will be very limited income, and it will become harder to pay this, and hopefully the benefit of it will help us. One thing, just so I wanted to say on record, I hope that the 2.7% is more true than the 5% per year or lower. I hope that fiscally people are conservative with expenses, and people can take it for granted when there's an assessment and get complacent that there's this automatic revenue. And then also, there's nothing in the dissolution agreement that takes into account what if there's some new existing condition like AC Transit being very parallel to the current routes or serving in different ways but the same destinations. If AC Transit were to meet the challenge and really come up with much better service and perhaps give discounted easy passes, then if this became not as relevant or not as necessary, there's nothing in the dissolution that says there's a way to dismantle it if it becomes, or there could be another existing condition if gas went way, way up and the system couldn't support purchasing other types of vehicles that might operate differently than with standard, you know, type of fuel. So I'm just painting a picture that I think cities need to do things big, and it's a great vision, and transportation is important, but it is really expensive, and it will really be a hardship on us within a number of years. And so, but it is, my sister and I are joint owners, and we wanted to come and offer our support with qualifiers. Thank you very much.
I think this is an appropriate time to reflect about how we got to this bad place where we are right now. People remember the Emery ground started out as a bunch of private shuttles paid for by large corporations in town with a lot of employees to move their employees from BART to their corporate locales. That became untenable, so a bunch of these businesses got together and formed the Emery Go-Round. And it continued on for a couple decades, I believe. Unfortunately, the city council members back through the 90s, 2000s, started using the Emery Go-Round as a sort of develop for free pass. EIRs for development projects, for residential development projects, were written, and other development projects. EIR, environmental impact reports, were written folding in the existence of the Emery Go-Round. So in other words, were it not for the Emery Go-Round, there would be massive amount of traffic, negative, unmitigated negative impacts to the projects that the city council approved. So then the businesses crashed the Emery Go-Round because they got tired of paying for people going out to Watergate and what have you. Then they just saw them as, so they saw it as they're paying for these residences to use this, what should be a business shuttle. So that, but no one should be surprised, because when you put private companies, you know, corporations in charge of what's effectively really a public thing, when greed sets in, no one should be surprised. So no one should be surprised that it crashed, that businesses crashed it. So what clearly we have to do, and there's no easy path to this is a government function, a transportation agency. The way it should be done is the way all government agencies should operate. It should be operated by the city of Emeryville, paid for by taxes, progressive taxes. In other words, those with the highest ability to pay the most. So in other words, the businesses should pay for it. We shouldn't be controlled by the businesses because they crash it and they're greedy. So it should be a real government operating system, but there's no easy way to get there from where we are right now, because this is a crisis right here and right now. So I don't know how we're going to get out of this, but everyone should be aware that we are here and we're in this pickle now because of the city council saying yes to every developer that walked down the pike from the 90s to the 2000s and just wrote the existence of the Emery Run into the EIRs and used that to approve these projects that should never been approved with this tenuous of a transportation system.
Right. Coming up, while you're coming up, if anybody is watching at home and you haven't mailed your ballot in, come on down to City Hall before these next few minutes before we close the public hearing, and feel free to cast your vote. So, thank you. I'm stalling a little bit in case anybody wants to do that. But.
All right. Someone's running down right now.
I know, right?
Council members, my name is Bobby Lee. I'm in support of the assessment, and I'm glad we finally, looks like we have some sort of resolution to this uncertainty in the funding for the Emery go-around. It is important that we have some continuity to this. But the reason I wanted to speak today is because I'm concerned about the way that the management of the Emery go-around is administered today. And under the assessment, the current TMA bylaws would be renewed or changed by the council members, and you have an opportunity to change how that's structured. As it's structured today, there are 10 seats, 9 of them held by business or commercial interests, and one resident seat that's vacant currently. That doesn't reflect who rides the Emery go-around today. I mean, it's residents, it's visitors, it's everybody. And I would implore the council, as you look to how to structure the management, if this assessment passes, to include those that are affected by the changes the most, that ride the shuttle, residents and visitors and so on. And also, it's without a doubt that there are many visitors to the city as well who take this shuttle, and I think that all stakeholders need a voice, and to have such a lopsided representation going forward, it just isn't. It's not right as a resident. So I did want to say this is a very successful last mile shuttle. I am glad it's here. I hope it continues, and I hope that this assessment passes. Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak?
Hello, I'm Ken Bukowski, the Emeryville Property Owners Association. The Emery ground is a great service. It's really essential for the city. But it hasn't ever been fair ever since it's been created. The assessments aren't fair. One part of town gets 7-day service, the other part of town gets 5-day service. So when you complain about it, nothing is done. No adjustments ever made. And we don't know how that'll go in the future. You have a corporate control board, which is unfair. 7 people on that board don't pay a majority of the assessment, and they control the board. That's not fair. That's not right. Assigned seats means you're not even elected, so you don't even have the scope of the people that you're representing because they're not electing you. You can't replace anybody for any reason. We have sales tax money that we're paying. We've been paying $3.5 million for the last 15 years, not a penny for the Emery ground. And the Property Owners Association, we went down there and we got the expenditure plan changed, so now it's possible to fund the Emery ground. But I don't know if it can receive the correct amount of money because it's supposedly a private service. There's nothing private about it. Nothing. The public rides it. When one property owner pays for a condition of approval, they're not paying to provide a special benefit to somebody else. So if this assessment is approved, somebody might decide to challenge it, and if it's decided that it's public, then the city will assume the responsibility that it should. If the service is discontinued, someone should complain to the city, not to the TMA board. The city is quick to say, well, gee, we have nothing to do with it. We don't control it. I mean, the staff has told me several times they don't want to operate it. And, if it's necessary for you to do that, then that's what it's necessary for you to do. The EPOA proposed a governance plan. I don't see that that's before you or anything you're considering. We have basically been ignored for the last 3 years, and you know, that may be okay, but it's not fair and it's not right. It should fail, and we should do this right. It's a public service. We should get the most we can out of the sales tax money. I think we can get $2 million a year if we push it, and thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak during this public hearing? Don't be bashful. Okay, seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing, and when you hear the gavel, that means no more votes can be cast, and we start counting. So, public hearing's closed. We do, while the counting commences, we do have some business afterwards, which I'd like the council to go through.
Sluggish, okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, so I am, the city council is at the end of its recess on item 4.1. We are reconvening with the results of the property business improvement district vote. So would the city clerk do the honors of informing us of the results of the vote?
Yes. There were 1,465 eligible ballots were returned and counted, and the total dollar value of those votes found and counted was $1,504,656.54. The votes cast in favor, the dollar value of the votes cast in favor is $1,071,992.83, which is 71.25% of the vote. And the total amount of the votes cast against is $432,663.71, or 28.75%. So the protest vote was 28.75%, which is not a majority protest vote. And so if the council wishes, you may take up the matter of establishing the new PBID.
All right, thank you for those positive results. And we do have a resolution in under 4.1 to establish a PBID.
Move the resolution.
This
Second.
is, oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, and because it's a public hearing, let's take a roll call vote on that resolution. Oh, was there a second?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
I second.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Asher? Sorry, Councilmember Asher?
Yes.
Councilmember Donahue?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Davis?
Yes.
And Mayor Atkin?
Aye. Okay,
ourselves a
we
PBID.
passed a big hurdle tonight. This takes us to 5.1, which is an action item, a resolution of the city approving the 2014 annual report submitted by the TMA and levying the PBID assessments for this fiscal year. Is there a report on that?
There is no need to take action on that resolution. That resolution was in case the new
the other one
PBID was not approved. There still was one more year of assessment under the former PBID, and so, and you would have to put that on, take action to put that on the property roll. So we didn't want you in a situation where you had no new PBID and no old PBID.
Gotcha. So that concludes our business for this evening. We are adjourned.
Good going.